And welcome to the first Tuition Tuesday video. Get your learning on. In this video, you're going to see the vocab for the week, the idiom of the week, and the La Quinta High School word of the week. This will be an academic word in addition to your regular vocab. Now, every week we're going to have Latin-based words to help us discuss roots, prefixes, suffixes, affixes, all that stuff. We're also going to have an idiom, which is a culturally based expression that's common in our discourse. And you will need to study these things in order to prepare for your quiz. The quiz is going to be on the Tuesday after the Tuesday which you get this video. Now this video will be made available to you on August 30th. It's your week one. If you're listening to this in the year of 2016, it'll change for years after that. The following week for 2016, that will be on September 5th, you will have to know all of these words. Now you are expected to take notes on this. Please note, the notes that you need to take are whatever you need to take. You will not be quizzed on the literal definition that we have written down. You will be quizzed on your understanding of the meaning of the word by seeing it in context. So writing down a definition that you have read but don't understand isn't really going to do you much good. Now we're going to go fast on this. You can pause it yourself to take notes as you need to. The words this week are subway, submerge, translate, transition, infest, hoard, bizarre, and tolerate. Now look at those first four words. You may see something that they all have in common. They all have the same prefix, or a set of letters at the beginning of a word. These all come from Latin. Now those are part of roots. Now these particular roots are the prefixes. We have sub, which means to be below or under something, and trans, which means to move across something. Whenever you see those in a word, more or less, you will be looking at those meanings somewhere in the definition. They will be involved in the definition. Now those subwords, we've got subway. Subway is a noun. Now we're not talking about the restaurant, we're talking about an underground urban railroad, usually operated by electricity, intended for mass transit in a large city. It can also be used to refer to the tunnels themselves that the trains travel through. Now any quick guess why it's an electric train? That's right. It's because if you had a diesel motor of some kind, if they're in tunnels, you would kill everybody with all the exhaust. So they tend to be electric. Then we have submerge. It's a verb. To place underwater or to go underwater. It can also be used less literally to describe something which is covered up and hidden from view. It is underneath what can be seen, hence it is under. Now, I suppose you could use submerged in the normal past tense to say you had a thing that was submerged, or you could almost use it as an adjective to describe something. But really we're talking about it here as a verb. Now trans, as a prefix, means to go across from one thing into another. Now this doesn't have to be a physical motion. Something like translate is a verb. It's to render into another language. It can also be used for the act of simplifying something or to paraphrase. But you're using the word translate to say that meaning is going from one place across to another. Usually it's going from something that is difficult to understand across to something that is easy to understand. So it can even just be putting something into a different medium, like you can translate a book into a film by making a film out of a book. Then you have transition. It's a noun. It's the passage from one state or form or style or place to another one. It can also be used to label a word or a phrase or transition, or a sentence rather, that connects from one part of a conversation to another. So you can transition from talking about vocab to talking about sports by having something that connects those two ideas of, oh, you know what has its own vocabulary? Football. They talk about quarterbacks and tight ends and halfbacks and blah, blah, blah. Now we have some other words. Every week there will be words that are just more interesting than maybe what you hear every day, and they're good in conversation and good for smart readers to know. This week we have infest. It's a verb. It's to swarm and to spread and swarm in a negative manner. Often means to live inside of something like a parasite. If something is infested, which is being used both as an adjective in that sense, or if you do infest something, you are infesting something, you have a lot of you and you are all hanging out in one place. If I said the classroom was infested with students, I'm saying there's a lot of you and you're milling about. It's worth noting, words have something called connotation and something called denotation. The denotation is the literal dictionary definition. The connotation is the extra flavor of meaning a word brings to conversation. Infest has a negative connotation. If you say that something is swarming, you are describing it in a negative fashion, although it does not necessarily mean that exactly. We're putting it in our definition because it's important that you do get that connotation. Now, horde is similar. Horde is a noun. Now, this one's changed. Originally, hordes were labeled specifically for large groups of warring medieval Asian nomads. However, it's now used mostly to refer to large, unwanted, unruly groups. Again, this one carries a negative connotation. But don't confuse it with the word hoard, H-O-A-R-D. Like when you hear about someone who is a hoarder, meaning they keep a lot of stuff, that's something else entirely. They are not related. They have different spellings. They sound the same. That's why they are homophones. Homo meaning same, phone meaning sound. Other words, bizarre. It's an adjective. It means very out of the ordinary, odd, strikingly unusual. And then we have the word tolerate. It's a verb. It is to endure or resist the action of something. It can also be used to describe the act of allowing something negative. I can tolerate a certain amount of noise, and then I start to get upset or something. I can tolerate extreme heat. Growing up here in the desert, like all of you have done, I'm sure you can tolerate heat pretty well, better than someone like me from Denver can do. Now, La Quinta High School every week has an academic word of the week. This is a word that is useful in a scholarly academic environment. This week we have assist, which is a verb. It means to give support or help. Now, an assist can be something that you provide to someone, as in you help them out yourself. You can assist someone by giving them something that is helpful, giving them a calculator in math class, something like that. Or you can assist someone by carrying their groceries or whatever else. Then we have the idiom of the week. Now, an idiom is a phrase that does not mean what it literally means. Our idiom of the week is to stick out like a sore thumb. Now, to say, hey, you stick out like a sore thumb may seem like a strange thing to say. Like, wait, I'm not a thumb, I'm a person. But what it means is to be very obvious and immediately apparent. So in these pictures, we see people and animals that stick out like sore thumbs. In the top picture there, you see all the brown penguins, and then you see the penguin in black and white and yellow, and he sticks out. He's very obviously different. In the bottom center, you see the one white cat among all the black cats. They stick out like a sore thumb. They're very obvious. In the picture on the bottom right, you see the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers along with someone in a dress. Although, you know, I guess for being in a dress, she sticks out. But I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable around someone in a dress than someone in a space ninja suit. I feel like they stick out and make me more uncomfortable. Then the picture on the bottom left is kind of interesting. Miss Douglas picked this one, and I think it's an interesting choice. It's different on examination. To me, the first time I saw it, I assumed the standing meerkat was the one standing out, like a sore thumb. But then when you look closer at it, you see one of them is a cat. And I suppose it sticks out more like a sore thumb, except I didn't notice it at first. So does it stick out like a sore thumb? I suppose that's open to debate. Those are the words of the week. That is the idiom of the week and the academic word of the week. Study up, be ready for the vocab quiz on Tuesday. Thank you very much.